Welcome back, loves, for our Monday interview show. I am so excited for this amazing day. We are shooting here on video. If you want to start to tune in on YouTube, or as always, if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, welcome back. We are here with Christiana Ana Rodriguez, who I'm so excited to speak to today around the womb healing, all things around our creative energy, our creative center. Christiana is the #1 international best-selling author of Women with Healing Gifts, Breaking Barriers and Changing the World. She has an amazing background working with medicine and science. She's a wisdom keeper of ancient teachings that weaves shamanic practices into womb wisdom. She's been on TV. She's worked with amazing, her bio goes on and on. We will link to it in the show notes, but she is a real I love this term wisdom keeper around this really sacred topic that we're going to be talking about today that I've been personally interested in for a very long time, specifically since becoming a mother, but also as a creative, as a writer, how we really start to engage with this part of us, this really deep part of us that we can start to turn on. And lastly, I want to say that she also works with sacred sexuality and ritual ceremony, and her new signature program is called the Sacred Gateways of the New Paradigm. So Christiana, thank you so much for being here with us today.
How exciting. Just feeling this joyfulness and so grateful that we are here together connecting and being able to drop into something that's so vital for us as women.
For us as women. And also, I just want to start off by saying, Christiana, for those of us listening that maybe aren't women necessarily, this creativity we can also tune into regardless of gender. Is that right?
Absolutely. This is across the board for all humans. We're going to be talking about our vital life force as spiritual beings having this human experience.
Sometimes when we hear this word, Christiana, womb, we think of specifically with childbirth, with pregnancies. But what I'd like to also get, and I want to get into that as well, because we have lots of questions around holistic pregnancy. And as a mother myself, I love to talk about that. But also as humans, this Svadhisthana, this sacral chakra, this creative center, it can be used and directed, this amazing energy within us far beyond children. Can you speak a little bit about just the essence of womb, creative power, creative energy?
Absolutely love that you are bringing this into this conversation. It is so vital for us to understand as humans that we have this energy source, this beautiful portal that sits 2 inches below the belly button.
Mm.
Let's say for men to drop into this conversation, it's known as the hara. In martial arts, they know it very well, that center. It is a place of empowerment. It's a place of where they bring all of their energy of creative life force from that space to ground in and then to bring that energy forth when we're talking martial arts. For women, this is our creative force. This is where when we drop out of our headspace and into the throat and the heart, down into the solar plexus and into this beautiful cauldron, this medicine bowl, we can create not only life, which is miraculous, we can create projects, ideas, collaborations. So that creative force right there is an energy source that's directly sourced from the universe. So we have a direct connection to Great
Wow.
Spirit, to Source, to God's self. That's how vital this space is. It's a portal. Isn't it
I'm
already
getting
exciting?
goosebumps just hearing you speak about this with such authority and such connection
Mm.
yourself, Christiana. And I had also heard in some yogic teachings that this center is also specifically, they're all connected, all the chakras, all the energies, but also specifically deeply connected to the throat chakra, to Vishuddha, to our expression in the world. Can you talk a little bit about this specific connection? Comes out through the heart, but also
Yes.
speaking our truth, creating from this, the spoken word, and not just literally the word, but writing and what we put out, how we act, how we flow through our lives.
Absolutely. So now in this moment, you and I, as we are speaking into this circle, this sacred space, we are utilizing our cervix, and that is directly connected to the throat chakra. So we
Mm,
as women have known for decades that our throat chakra has been shut down. We've been shut down from, let's just say, the waist down. And so this comes into play with how we as women have been told how to treat our bodies from the medical world, from religion, from many different arenas that have not empowered us, in fact, have disempowered us. And so when we become disempowered from our womb space, and then also from our yoni space, yoni is Sanskrit for vulva. When we become disconnected from that sacred space, we lose our voices. And when we
mm.
lose our voices and we lose connection with our empowerment, which sits again at that sacred portal of our womb slash hara. So it's all connected. As you said, when we do yoga, we have this whole central nervous system that runs up and down our spine to our brain that connects all things. Well, it goes deeper still into, like, you could picture like an umbilical cord to the center of the universe, the galaxy. And so we are directly connected from that galactic center. And that
Yes.
galactic center actually brings us deeper into our inner knowing as women specifically, to understand what it is to birth life into this world. Again, all humans can connect into this center. Anybody that does martial arts knows that they are
Mm.
asked to come from that diante, that hara, that grounding, and then move that energy out into the world.
And before we talk for a moment, Christiana, about how we really deeply connect, which I'm so fascinated to hear your perspective around this, you mentioned disempowered, right? So where our voice gets shut down. And then the other side of disconnection, which we see a lot in culture, is misusing this power which we sense is inside of us, right? Sometimes we can abuse ourselves sexually, give our power away,
Mm.
not really honor, right? And of course, it's individual to each person what that looks like. But I think that there's a lot of imbalance right now, right? Because there's this sacred portal. And then we aren't taught how to honor it, how to work with it, how to harness it, and how, there's a lot of issues in the world today around self connection, self love. And so that, of course, affects our sexuality and everything related to what you're talking about. Can you speak a little bit to that? Either way, over, under, right? This sort of
Yes, let's
disconnection that's
do it.
on a cultural collective. Yeah, can you share your perspective around that? Sometimes we want to tune in, we want to be loved, right? A lot of it comes from wanting attention, wanting to be validated, the trauma playing out, and then we either shut down and then other parts of us take over, so we lose that power, that connection to our creativity or to our sexuality, or otherwise it can go over, and then we kind of lead with that in ways that may be disingenuous or disempowering to ourselves, right? And especially in a visual
Absolutely.
world where we can now get money for doing that, or more attention on social media, whatever it is.
Yeah, so let's talk about it. It's so exciting because we are multi-dimensional beings. There's so many aspects to us. And the same thing with this the womb, which I was just going to say, it's a spiral, right? So it's infinite. There's
Mm.
many layers to what we're speaking to. But to harness it in, for those that are listening and that are curious about what we are speaking about, let's create some clarity around it. We as humans can become very imbalanced in all of our ways. It's not easy to remain in our center. So this is where we bring in modalities that work for each individual. Some turn towards yoga, some towards healthy eating, some turn towards I'm going to understand more about what it feels good to be in my body and exercise more, eat better, eat clean. And so there's a great, there's always this place within this balancing act that we have going on for us. What the womb will do for you is it'll bring you right to your inner knowing and your inner wisdom. It will
Mm,
ask you to harness in all of that energy that seems to be outward and bring it back into our center and listen to our own internal wisdom.
mm,
However, there's another piece to that. Oftentimes, as you mentioned, we're told who we are, and there's been trauma, and we've experienced so many different dynamics in our on our sacred path, this journey called life, that we become convoluted with what's my thinking, what's my true thinking, what's my inner wisdom, how can I not hear that? So that's why it's really important for us to go into this space with somebody who is a wisdom keeper, who is a shamanic practitioner that can allow you to clear the energy within that space that's possibly not yours, where you've been
mm,
courted into other people's ideas or thinking that has brought you into a place of imbalance. We want to come back into our center. And when we're in our center, we find our voice again. We find our truth. We're able to deliver that out to the world. We're here to deliver our gifts. Each of us here has a gift unlike anybody else on this planet. And we want to be able to tap into that source. Again, that source is directly connected to the universe. And when balanced, we can shine. There's so
mm,
many gifts that we want to add to this world. So it is vital for us to be balanced within our own center and understand who we are in this human capacity, and that all of us have this balance between the masculine and feminine. And we're trying to figure that piece out. So that's also what the womb will do. It'll bring you into balance with our feminine aspects and our masculine, because all humans have that. We may be in a body that's feminine, but we also have masculine aspects to ourselves,
yes,
right?
yes.
So that's a whole nother topic.
So, Christiana, sometimes this word balance can be a little bit nebulous for people, right? So, can you explain what are certain signs when we know that we're balanced, when we're connected to our womb,
Mm.
whether that feeling inspired creatively or feeling, sexual, or could you just give us some more specific ways for our listeners to say, yeah, that resonates, or there I can feel that there's a little bit of a gap, you know, wherever
Great
areas.
questions. Great
Physically,
questions.
physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, all our cornerstones across.
Absolutely. That
Yes,
across the board, we need that. And
yes,
deep apology for any crossover. Just there's a little bit of lag. Um, okay. How do we know that we are unbalanced? Life becomes
yes.
chaotic.
Mm,
Yeah. We become disoriented, uh, which then what happens is there's this unfolding. It may start off subtly. So the womb is very subtle. She will give us instructions. Oftentimes we don't listen to. It's really what we also know as our intuition. So once we stop listening to our intuition and our inner voice, subtle changes start to happen. It's like a boat in a harbor. It just doesn't go out to sea. It just slowly leaves the harbor, and all of a sudden you're floating out there and your eating has shifted. Maybe you're not eating as well as you were. Maybe you're not making it love as much as you'd like to. Really, things become out of sorts, and the word is chaotic. Things are
mm,
not in order and organized as maybe they once were. That's really when you know you become out of balance with self and you stop listening to your inner voice. So the womb will tug on you. She will let you know it's not an intuition that comes from the mind. It comes directly from that portal, that at 2 inches below that belly button, when you know that gut feeling, something's not right here. Things aren't feeling good. Things are not clear. You've lost your crystal clear clarity with your communication. There's a consciousness to the womb, a consciousness that brings you in total alignment with what's true to you, not the outside noises. You want to turn the outside noises off and listen to what your wisdom is telling you.
So that womb, the gut feeling deep inside will also give you cues and clues when your action steps, like you said, that chaos is manifesting and things that you're doing, it's playing out in the world and it's sort of trying to bring you back in. And if I'm understanding correctly, Christiana, and then how would we distinguish, let's say there's this voice and it's kind of calling us back, it's showing us we're out of alignment. How do we distinguish that intuition versus going into shame, right? Going into saying, oh man, I'm
Mm.
so bad, or I shouldn't have done that, or I'm selling myself short, or I'm really embarrassed by these actions I've taken. How do we work with that energy of alignment, shame?
Mm. Yeah, what a fine line that can be. When we have not taken the time to connect with that center, or have not gone to perhaps a practitioner that allows us to understand deeper what those messages are, or if you have not picked up a book to understand what we are speaking about, like womb wisdom, what is this? Or listen to a podcast like that, this right here, right now, what we can do in this moment is simply remembering our breath. Where is our breath? Is our breath up here? Can we bring our breath down into our center? Listening to our breath and pausing, you'll know when it's your voice, that gut knowing. It's similar to a mother who knows the baby's cry. Does a baby's diaper need to be changed? Or does a baby need to be breastfed right now? Or did the baby fall? You can tell the difference between those cries. You can tell the difference too when this is your own inner voice or somebody else's voice you're listening to that's been based on perhaps shame, guilt, trauma from some
Mm.
kind of trauma bonding from our childhood years, or for something that's happened to you in life. You know the difference. It's acting on it. Oftentimes we'll hear, but we don't listen. So the first step is really to honor your breath and to stop and pause and say, whose voice is this? Is this
Mm.
truly my truth or somebody else's voice speaking?
I love that because it's really accessible, right? It's this tuning in, which we do accessible, but not necessarily easy, simple, right? The breath is right here, but it's this retraining, as you know, Christiana, in the work and what I see with clients as well, where we're so used to flowing out. Where's the information, the phones, the social media, what people are
Mhm.
saying? And so cultivating this, because we hear breath about, calming down, but also breath to connect with the womb wisdom. Can you give us some more accessible ways we can start to breathe more life into this connection with our womb center? It's pausing, the breathing.
Definitely. So I find that many of my clients intuitively know when they go to sleep that they're placing their hands over their womb. It's just a
Mm,
natural feeling.
yes,
So
I was doing it right now.
I love it. Yes, and we start feeling our womb. We may not know that, but now after a conversation like this that we're listening in on, wow, okay, I noticed that I'm placing my hand on my womb and then perhaps another over your heart. So that creates this deep connection to the universe, this deep listening. But then outside of that, we have to remember that we are cyclical beings. We do not live in a linear universe. So by listening to our own rhythms and cycles that go in conjunction with the moon and the sun, we start listening to ancient teachings. We're not in a Gregorian calendar. We're on a rhythm and cycle with the universe that asks us to watch what the moon is doing. And when we watch the moon, especially so as women, we know that we have a cycle where we bleed. And when we
Mhm.
listen to that 28 days, like the ancients would say 1328, which represents the turtle shell, which also represents the calendar. There's 13 months really and 28 days. So when we
Mm.
listen to that, our own natural rhythm and cycle as women will connect to, oh, okay, I'm going to bleed. This is what's happening. This is when my energy is high. This is when my energy is low. So this is a really beautiful way specifically for women to understand how to connect with their moon blood, their periods, their menstruation. That is a great way for us to start understanding to bring deep sacredness and honor to that portal. As men, they can do the same. They also have a rhythm and cycle. They also do. You'll see it.
And
Yeah.
this rhythm and cycle, as you're mentioning, Christiana, we can start to intuit where we may be more creative and where we need to rest more, right? There's times where we can foster really great movement in our projects if we were really wanting to work with our deep creative power, bring things into the world. Part of that is working with that rhythm, I imagine.
Absolutely. So some of the women that come forward are really in that space where they are disconnected from their womb and their moon cycle, their blood, perhaps even menopause. There's this negativity and noise and chaos on the outside. They're wanting to birth a project. Let's say they're wanting to write a book. They're wanting to put
Yes.
out a program, something like this. When we listen to our own internal wisdom and our rhythm and cycle with the moon and the sun, what happens is that we do understand, Kimberly, that there is a time when in that 1 month, 28-day cycle, our energy is high for creativity. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's a time when it's low, when ovulating, because we're getting ready to actually release, or we can birth. The same thing with birthing. We usually birth on a full moon. We get pregnant on a new moon. It's just a rhythm and cycle. So we know when we have high energy for creative projects, or we can work outside, we can work on our
Mm.
farm, we can work on our land. And when there's times when we as women need to honor, to stop and to slow down, which isn't always easy based on the old construct of the patriarchal paradigm, which has us going, and we don't listen to our inner voice and we don't stop and we don't rest, that doesn't work well with the womb. She will say, if you listen, listen to your own inner wisdom, you can get so much beauty done and creative projects done when you're in that space, when you're in,
Yes.
right, with the universe, instead of going against the grain, go with the flow, feel good, be in your body, listen deeply to your inner wisdom, and bring that out to the world in a timely manner that works for you, because it's honoring yourself. You honor yourself in this
Yeah.
way. You're a sacred temple.
And practically speaking, Christiana, I've experienced, what you're talking about when I really release myself from working in a linear way instead of here's the list versus, and again, I'm very blessed. I have more freedom in my day and my timing, but there are times in my cycle and also times in the day where I feel those bursts and I go with that. And there's less, oh, I have to do this instead. It's just a different way of seeing things when we go with that
Yeah.
flow, because there's these almost these burst periods where I'll write so much of a book, and then there's times where I don't feel called. And if I go in, I force myself to write, for example, I always have to rewrite. It's an inefficient way of doing things when it has to be so linear.
I love that you brought the burst out. That's so fantastic, because the rhythms and cycle aren't just over a 28-day, or a monthly cycle. It's also in our day. We know,
Yes.
yeah, in our ancient teachings, we know there was once this saying, sit under a tree for 24 hours with the universe, and you'll know when the height of your creativity and your energy is and when your low points are. Because there's this place of
Yeah.
silence. You're rooting in, and perhaps it's at the morning call. For me, with Kundalini Yoga, it's at the 4:30. It's the shaman hour. It's
Yes.
when
It's
the
very early.
birds, yeah, right. It's when the quick crickets stop and the birds start singing. That midway point is just, it's beautiful. It's a stillness. So for me, that's a heightened place. For others, that may not be. Maybe it's in the evening, and your life will consistently change. It's constantly changing. So listening is so key to the breath. If you're out of breath, maybe it's time to stop and sit down and rest. If you have a lot of energy, then utilize that energy. It's really such a powerful way to live, one with the earth, one with the mother, one with the sacred, feminine of the sun, and one with the planetary shifts. Why are we going against the grain with being universal humans here on this planet when everything else has an order? Don't follow that rhythm and order. When we don't, we just become out of balance and out of sorts.
And I think prioritizing that and giving ourselves freedom to explore that order, right? And I can't help but think when you're speaking, Christiana, about my first book, which was published, in 2011. I was living in New York City. It was a different time. I was hustling. I was, just running around the city, kind of entangled with the energy of the city. And a lot of that book was written in the evenings, and it was for different reasons. I'm just a lot more clear in my voice now, but it was a lot of energy expenditure to write that book, and a lot of passion kind of pushed it through. But this last book, which and now I'm in the editing process, it was actually written mostly at 3:30 in the morning. I would get up at 3:30 and right before my kids get up. And as you mentioned, it was this freedom. And of course, there's periods in our life where maybe we don't have that freedom if we have a certain kind of job, but we can explore it if we go away or carve out times on the weekends or whatever it is, right? Everyone has their own schedules. But for me, I started to feel that the morning time was that creative burst time. And so I really
Mm,
shifted my whole life. I go to bed early. I don't live in the big city anymore. I'm just in a different rhythm. So I just point that out to say it's interesting as we progress how we can start to be more confident to feel that and to really get behind supporting our lifestyle for those creative bursts, prioritizing it.
yeah, I love it. That's Thank you for the confirmation of the womb wisdom and what she holds. You, I love that you're sharing more of your own story and how things shifted for you. Right
And I didn't
at
even
one.
call that book wisdom, but yes, now that you're speaking about it, it's perfectly aligned to this deep creative center teaching me this is when your best stuff's going to come, and you can't force it other times. The womb wisdom can't be forced.
No, it cannot. And so here's what we can really need to do in order to bring more of this energy as a whole to this planetary universe that we are on right now, right? That we're living as humans on this planet. The more we listen to this center, this portal, this sacred temple that we have been
Mm,
given. And as you say, the four corners, that brings our structure and our system together, right? As humans, the more we are able to do that for ourselves,
yeah.
we can allow others to do the same and unplug from this old construct that is at its last death rattle. We're coming into a new age. We know this is known as the age of Aquarius. The womb is in direct alignment with the universe, the cosmos. So when we ourselves live with this freedom of being able to unplug from the old constructs and listen to ourselves, we give freedom to the next person to do the same. And that allows us to come into this place of organic unfolding of who we really are as humans. not
Mm.
who somebody told us we are or what schooling or anything else told us we are. We're
Programming.
really, I know, right? We're unplugging from that and becoming one with, well, here I am in Hawaii, what we call the Aina, becoming one with the land, listening
Yes.
to our ancestors. We are the bones of our ancestors. We
Mm.
are the bones of our ancestors. So we collect those bones and we flesh that out and we become these beautiful stories that are our own truth, not what somebody else told us about or from trauma based. And we're able to live in that structure that's in unison with the cosmos. And yeah, we can bring that into our bodies and live that truth. It's pretty phenomenal. It really, really is.
It's phenomenal, and it's vast, and it's powerful, and I love that you talked about structure, Christiana, because practically speaking, what we offer here in the community as well are these lifestyle habits, like we said in the 4 cornerstones, because I think about myself a decade ago or more, if I'm really bloated, for instance, if I'm eating the wrong foods, if I'm not exercising and I feel achy in my body, it's harder to listen to that womb wisdom, right? I need to be in my vitality. I need to have dinacharya, Ayurvedic Sanskrit word for a daily rhythm and routine. I'm nourishing
Mm,
myself. And then I'm in a stronger position to put us, real stillness comes forward. I'm not listening to,
mm,
all these it just really brings me more present, like you said, because there's a subtlety to this womb wisdom. And so that's one of the practical ways. I think the breathing, like you said, touching the womb, creating that space, the listening, but it all works together to make us more tuned to the listening.
mhm. Yeah, we don't want to have this static station. We want to be tuned in, right?
Yes.
Tune in, baby. Like, let the noise go. Like, it's enough of the noise out there. We have fought so hard to get to this place in time now where we are. And it's really to empower and then embody these teachings and
Yes.
walk our talk, right? Right. We know, like you said, when we're out of alignment, we know it. Like, I don't feel really great right now. I better eat some mung beans and my Ayurvedic and cool my fire down. I know that's what I have to do. It's like, okay, my fire needs to be cooled, even though I live next to a volcano.
Yes.
It's like
Yes.
really.
Christiana, and I want to jump into, and our time is so precious. There's so many things I can ask you, but the mystical, the shamanic part of your work, which I'm fascinated by, and also in the world, we're seeing, there's levels of disconnection, I think, when it comes to fertility and pregnancy and birthing, right? And it becomes, sometimes there's medical support that's very much needed, and we're so grateful to have that in the world. But in the ancestral times, there was also, I believe, I've heard about this, calling the child in or speaking to the soul when we're wanting to bring in a child, right? That can be used in conjunction with the medical treatments and everything that we're doing. However, our personal path is. There's so many wonderful paths. And of course, it's all in there, right? We have this amazing fertility course coming out as well, Christiana, that has, natural, it has the dietary part, it has the IVF part. So it's whatever the path is. But I believe this other part, this mystical part, can be added on to any of our paths. Can you share a little bit about calling in the child, or, connecting with the womb wisdom when we're wanting to get pregnant?
Mm.
I know it's
Oh,
a
I'm
big
getting the
topic.
goose. I'm getting the goosebumps. I'm loving this topic. Oh, yes. So, congratulations. That is such a beautiful place to enter into this conversation and to do what I'm understanding is you're going to be doing more of this work in your own
Yes.
business around fertility awareness, which is also too with our, so not to go off topic, I do believe that how we treat our sacred temples to prep ourselves for
Yes.
calling the child in is vital. So let me harness it in. I've had many testimonies with partners that are coming forward, husband and wives that are coming forward and saying that they've been told by the medical field that they can't get pregnant. Well, we're on baby number, I think 11 or 12 now over the years of women who have had like maybe one ovary and told they could never get pregnant, or saying that the man's sperm counts down. There's a
Right.
lot of different scenarios that come forward when, yeah. So for women, when we go into this, again, I'm going to continue to call it a sacred portal of the womb. And I do what's called a reading when I check to see what's in the womb space energetically as a wisdom keeper. What I'm doing is I'm reading back to that woman exactly what's happening within her center that perhaps is not allowing a child that's wanting to come through her to be able to seed itself, to birth itself into this world.
Mm.
So, and it sounds a little bit like woo woo. It's not, it's an energy center. So if your energy, say your engine in your car isn't running right, you're going to check the oil. Right? Same
Yeah.
thing with the portal of the womb. What's there blocking that energy from flowing? What's blocking the energy from flowing where your moon cycle is regular? What's
Mm.
happening with your health of your diet? What about your mental and emotional state? So the womb will read itself back to you and let you know, like, okay, you are not in your center. You're not in your power. You are allowing other influences into your energy
Mm.
field that are blocking the energy of new life, new project, new anything to come through.
Yeah. Yes, and we say calling in the child, calling in the project or whatever, we can expand that.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
So when you're in rhythm and cycle and you're listening to perhaps the moon, right? So the new moon is here, something new. We're seeding something new into our body, a new project, a new idea, perhaps a child. You're going to want to let go of things that are not serving your highest good. So when you let go of those cordings or things that are not serving you, you make room for the new to come in, to be
Yes.
birthed. That's again the power of the womb. So when you clear that field, that spiral, you're allowing space for what it is that you're wanting to bring forth. That's wanting to be birthed through you. You
Mm. Mm.
have, as a human, you have gifts that want to be birthed through you. But specifically, a child that's wanting to come through, need to create space for that. So by going into ceremony and listening deeply, a shamanic practitioner, a wisdom keeper will be able to read back to you what's possibly blocking your energy fields and where you can move that energy in order to bring forth what it is that you want to create. Because you
Mm.
are a creator. You are a
We're all
creatress.
creators. Yes,
Yes,
and
we're creating a new earth.
you have, these wonderful books and programs, which we'll link to in the show notes as well,
Mm.
Christiana. And, well, in a broader sense, let's say someone doesn't have the opportunity to work with someone individually. Can we say in a broader spectrum, someone can start to talk to the child, or do you think that's whisper to this
Absolutely.
child? Because I remember before my kids were born, and I'm very grateful they just kind of flowed in. I could feel something, like I almost feel like they were there, and it was just saying, "Hey." I don't know. It's hard to put into words, right? Just
Yes,
call.
because it feels like it's out here, and it's really not. It's speaking to you
Yes.
from within. And so yet you did have a direct connection to the cosmos. Okay? Because
Yes. These
we come
souls.
from, yeah, we are souls. So we're saying that child's choosing you as the mother. That child
Yeah.
decides, hey, you're going to be my mom. I want to start connecting with you. So you want your space, your sacred space, to be like an
Mhm.
altar of bringing in new life. Again, bringing in life of anything, whether you're creating a project, building a home, creating new life. You want to create this place that your body is an altar for connection to what it is that you need to be hearing. So, yes, you can hear the voice of the child that's wanting to be come through your portal. That
Yes.
soul is wanting to come through your sacred portal, and you're making room for that. And however way, whether how you eat, again, your the four cornerstones as you speak about is similar. You know, the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, the physical. You want to ready yourself. Most of us do not ready ourselves for bringing child forth.
Yes.
There's still always time. There's always time to be able to do that. That child will teach you how to mother him, her, you know, will definitely teach you.
And I like how you talked about blocking, unblocking. I mean, it goes on so many levels, right? There's unblocking your GI tract, there's unblocking limited beliefs. There's just energy that can get sort of stagnant in there. And that's part of your work, as you mentioned, is just clearing introspection. Sometimes it's hard to see our own blocks, right? When we're so close
Yeah.
to it. So you said breathing, working with a practitioner, shamanic healer like yourself, or just really trying to hear, asking the questions and hearing, yourself. What is the gap here?
Mhm.
What's standing between me and this child, or me and launching this business idea, or whatever it is?
Absolutely. So again, being plugged in, you know, you want to be plugged into your inner knowing and seated at your throne, want to be embodied so you know what's next and you do not question yourself. When you hear it, when you hear that intuition and then act on it, you're part of the co creation of the universe. And that's what we are doing here as humans. We're co
Mm,
creating new life in all its forms, that we're birthing ourselves. So, really, when it comes down to it, the womb's wisdom will allow you to rebirth yourself.
mm. It's so amazing. This sacredness, this portal, the energy around it. It's so beautiful. And it's right there. Like you said, it's not out here, it's inside of us. Instead of this a more external going out of ourselves, it's really this energy. It's calling it in, isn't it? It's calling in this connection, going deep, deep, deep down into ourselves.
Absolutely. Calling in the child, calling in the project, whatever. It's calling it in. Call it in. Call it in. You are one with it. It knows
Wow.
you. So, yeah, it's very, very powerful and potent work and a spiral. So it goes into many dimensions. And the work is done, can be done remotely. As you said, it's energy. So some people see me one on one in person, others remotely. It's energy. It can be it can be worked with. It's such a beautiful thing. So I
Mm,
become the midwife to the client, the midwife to the client. Like, okay, let's do this. You have this energy within. Allow me to be an honor to the sacredness of witnessing you rebirthing yourself into this world.
wow. Amazing. Amazing. I'm getting goosebumps all the way. Christiana, I could speak to you forever. This has been amazing.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for sharing a little piece of your vast wisdom with us today. And I just, I love this whole topic. And I love that you've created these programs and the your books, which we will link to directly in our show notes at mysaluna.com. Can you give us your website? You want to just call it out as well? We'll link to it as well, just so people are aware.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, what I'm including is my calendar. So I really want to talk to people. So I'm giving these 15, 20 minute connections. So my calendar's linked there. My books, my third book's coming out on Valentine's Day. So
Amazing.
yeah, the
So
best way to
well,
reach me is through my calendar.
perfect. Perfect. So we'll link to that over at mysaluna.com. And I know connect with our name too, Christiana, the sun and the moon,
Mm.
Saluna, all the different things, this amazing wholeness. And yeah, I just look forward to continuing our conversation. And thank you, beauties, so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed our conversation as much as I enjoyed being in it. We will link to Christiana's work as well as articles, other podcasts I think you would enjoy, guided meditations, recipes, and more. And we will be back here Thursday for our next Q&A. So excited to host this now on video form. Christiana, thank you for being our first guest on full video. Much love, much blessings. Namaste.